Hey everyone, today we're talking about Forrest Gump. This movie follows the incredible life journey of a simple, kind-hearted man named Forrest, who somehow ends up at the center of some of the biggest events in American history. From football to war, business, and even love, Forrest Gump is a story about destiny, perseverance, and the impact one person can have on the world. The movie kicks off with an iconic shot, a single white feather floating through the air, drifting peacefully over the city streets of Savannah, Georgia. This feather seems to have a life of its own as it gently floats down, eventually landing at the feet of our main character, Forrest Gump, who's sitting on a park bench, waiting for a bus. As Forrest picks up the feather and tucks it into a book, he begins to share his life story with strangers sitting next to him on the bench. Little do they know, they're about to hear one of the most extraordinary stories ever told. And with that simple gesture, we're launched into a narrative that spans decades, filled with love, loss, triumph, and heartache. The story takes us back to Forrest's childhood in Greenbow, Alabama. Forrest, played by Tom Hanks, is just a little boy, and right off the bat, we learn that his life hasn't been easy. Forrest was born with a spinal condition that required him to wear leg braces, which made walking difficult. On top of that, he has a lower than average IQ, which leads to him being misunderstood and often bullied by other kids. But Forrest's mother, played by Sally Field, is a strong, loving woman who refuses to let these challenges define her son. She's determined to give Forrest every opportunity to live a normal life, constantly reminding him, "You're no different than anybody else." One of the most memorable lines from the movie is delivered by Forrest's mom. "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." This simple yet profound wisdom becomes a guiding philosophy for Forrest throughout his life. Despite his physical and intellectual challenges, Forrest approaches life with a sense of innocence and optimism that is both endearing and inspiring. In school, Forrest is often bullied for his braces and his perceived differences. But it's during one of these bullying incidents that we witness a pivotal moment in Forrest's life. As he's being chased by a group of kids, something incredible happens. Forrest starts to run, and as he runs, his leg braces begin to break apart, freeing him from the physical restraints that had held him back for so long. This moment, where he literally breaks free from his braces, symbolizes Forrest's ability to overcome obstacles and run towards his future, no matter how uncertain it may be. During his childhood, Forrest also meets Jenny, who becomes his best friend and the love of his life. Jenny is the one person who accepts Forrest just as he is, and they form an unbreakable bond. Jenny's life, however, is far from easy. She faces her own struggles, including an abusive home life, which leads her down a troubled path. But through it all, Forrest's love for Jenny remains constant and unwavering. Fast forward a few years, and we see that Forrest's ability to run has taken him places he never could have imagined. Thanks to his incredible running speed, Forrest earns a football scholarship to the University of Alabama. This is where we see Forrest's life taking another unexpected turn. Despite his lack of understanding of the game, Forrest becomes a college football star simply because he can run faster than anyone else on the field. There's a hilarious yet iconic scene where Forrest is given the ball during a game, and instead of stopping in the end zone, he just keeps running right out of the stadium. His coach yells, "Run, Forrest, run!" which becomes one of the most famous lines in the movie. Forrest's talent on the football field leads him to meet President John F. Kennedy, marking the first of many historical figures Forrest encounters throughout his life. This phase of Forrest's life highlights how his simplicity and pure-heartedness allow him to excel in situations where others might overthink or be held back by self-doubt. After college, Forrest's journey continues as he joins the Army, just as the Vietnam War is heating up. Here we meet Bubba, a fellow soldier who quickly becomes Forrest's best friend in the military. Bubba is a simple man with a singular dream. He wants to start a shrimping business after the war. He talks endlessly about shrimp, sharing every conceivable recipe with Forrest. And this dream becomes a central part of Forrest's life later on. The Vietnam War scenes in Forrest Gump are intense and emotional. Forrest's innocence contrasts sharply with the brutality of war, yet it's his simplicity that allows him to remain steadfast and courageous in the face of danger. During a particularly harrowing battle, Forrest's instincts kick in, and he runs into the line of fire to save his comrades. including Bubba. Tragically, Bubba is mortally wounded, and Forrest holds him in his arms as he dies. This moment is heartbreaking, as Forrest loses one of the few true friends he has ever known. But Forrest's bravery doesn't go unnoticed. He saves many of his fellow soldiers that day, including his commanding officer, Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan, played by Gary Sinise, is a tough, no-nonsense leader who believes that his destiny is to die on the battlefield, just like his ancestors did in every American war. However, Forrest's actions alter the course of Lieutenant Dan's life, and while he initially resents Forrest for it, their relationship becomes one of the most important in the film. Forrest is awarded the Medal of Honor for his bravery in Vietnam, and there's a powerful scene where he meets President Lyndon B. Johnson, who asks Forrest where he was shot. Forrest, in his typical candid way, shows him the wound on his buttocks, leading to a humorous yet poignant moment. After returning from Vietnam, Forrest spends time recovering from his injuries at an Army hospital, where he discovers a new talent, ping pong. Once again, Forrest's natural ability shines through, and he becomes a ping pong sensation, representing the U.S. in international tournaments. Forrest's ping pong skills even lead to a trip to China as part of a goodwill tour. Back home, Forrest's fame continues to grow. He's invited to appear on a TV talk show where he meets John Lennon. Their conversation about world peace humorously inspires the lyrics to Lennon's hit song, Imagine. It's moments like these that showcase the film's unique blend of humor and history, placing Forrest at the center of significant cultural moments in a way that's both surreal and charming. During this time, Forrest also reconnects with Lieutenant Dan, who is now struggling with life as a double amputee. He's bitter and angry, feeling like he's been cheated out of his destiny to die in battle. But Forrest's unwavering kindness slowly begins to chip away at Lieutenant Dan's anger, and they form a strong bond that will change both of their lives. Honoring the promise he made to Bubba, Forrest decides to pursue the shrimp business that Bubba always dreamed of. He uses the money he earned from his ping pong career to buy a boat and start shrimping. Although things don't go well at first, Forrest struggles to catch enough shrimp to make a living, and it seems like Bubba's dream might never come true. But then fate intervenes. A massive hurricane hits the Gulf Coast, and while it devastates the area, Forrest's boat is the only one left standing. With no competition left, Forrest's shrimp business takes off, and the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company becomes wildly successful. Forrest becomes a wealthy man, but he never forgets where he came from. He gives a large portion of his earnings to Bubba's family, helping them out of poverty. This part of the film shows Forrest's loyalty and commitment to his friends, even after they're gone. It also highlights how Forrest's life is filled with moments of incredible luck and timing, events that he never fully understands, but simply accepts as part of his journey. Throughout the film, Jenny drifts in and out of Forrest's life. Her journey is much darker than Forrest's, filled with pain and turmoil. Jenny's childhood abuse leads her down a path of self-destruction, involving drugs, unhealthy relationships, and a search for meaning in all the wrong places. Despite all this, Forrest's love for Jenny never wavers. He sees her as the most beautiful person in the world, even when she can't see it herself. One of the most touching moments in the film is when Jenny returns to Greenbow and stays with Forrest. For a brief time, it seems like they might finally have a life together. They share a beautiful night together, and Forrest asks Jenny to marry him, but she declines, feeling unworthy of his love. The next morning, Jenny leaves without saying goodbye, breaking Forrest's heart. Forrest's cross-country run is one of the most iconic sequences in the film. Without any clear goal or destination, Forrest just runs. He runs through deserts, mountains, and small towns, gathering followers along the way who see him as a symbol of something greater. For many, Forrest represents the idea of perseverance and the pursuit of something beyond the mundane struggles of everyday life. During his run, Forrest inadvertently starts several trends. His face becomes the inspiration for the famous "Have a nice day" smiley face logo after he wipes his muddy face on a t-shirt. He also comes up with the phrase "shit happens" when a man asks him for a slogan to print on a bumper sticker. These moments are humorous and show how Forrest's simple, unintentional actions have a lasting impact on popular culture. After 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 16 hours, Forrest suddenly stops running. In the middle of a desert road surrounded by his followers, he calmly announces that he's tired and ready to go home. Forrest's run, like much of his life, is a testament to his ability to just go with the flow and let life unfold as it may. After his epic run, Forrest returns to Greenbow and receives a letter from Jenny asking him to come visit her. When he arrives, he discovers that Jenny has a young son named Forrest, his son. Forrest is stunned but overjoyed to learn that he's a father. Jenny reveals that she named their son after him because she wanted him to know what a good man his father was. This revelation brings a sense of closure and fulfillment to Forrest's life. After all the ups and downs, the one constant in Forrest's heart has been his love for Jenny, and now he has a son who carries on his name and legacy. Forrest and Jenny try to build a life together, but it's clear that Jenny is very sick. She's suffering from an illness, implied to be HIV/AIDS, which was still a relatively unknown disease at the time. Despite the tragic circumstances, Forrest remains by Jenny's side, but their time together is short-lived, and Jenny eventually passes away, leaving Forrest to raise their son alone. The movie's final scenes are both heartwarming and bittersweet. Forrest is now a devoted father, raising little Forrest Jr., who is just as smart and curious as his dad. The film comes full circle as Forrest walks his son to the school bus stop, just as his mother did for him all those years ago. As he watches the bus drive away, Forrest sits on the same bench where his story began, reflecting on the journey he's been on. The feather from the opening scene makes a reappearance, gently floating back into view and reminding us of the film's central theme. Life is unpredictable and full of unexpected twists and turns. The feather's journey, like Forrest's, is shaped by the winds of fate, but it always finds its place. Forrest Gump ends on a note of quiet contemplation, leaving us with a sense of wonder at the extraordinary life of an ordinary man. It's a story about love, destiny, and the incredible impact one person can have on the world, simply by being themselves. And that's it. Forrest Gump is a film that takes us on a journey through decades of American history, seen through the eyes of a simple, yet extraordinary man. It's both heartwarming and heartbreaking, showing us the beauty of life's unpredictability and the power of love and perseverance. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more movie recaps.